Hello everyone! Welcome to this new C++ tutorial. In this video we're going to learn about loops, specifically while loops. While loops are basically things that we write in our code to loop over a specific statement a few times. So in case I want to print out hello world 5 times, instead of copy pasting that 5 times in our code, we can write it inside a while loop, and then we can specify that we want to execute this for 5 times or 10 times or 20 times. So in order to write a while loop, we have to type the word while and then open parentheses, and then we're going to specify whatever condition here. So this condition has to be true in order for the while loop to execute and to continue looping. And in case this condition becomes false, then we can exit our while loop. So, and after typing this, we have to open curly brackets just like that, and we're going to write whatever statements that we want to execute inside those curly brackets. So here is going to be statement 1, statement 2, and so on. Those are things we want to execute several times. And this is the condition that has to be equal to true in order for this loop to continue executing and looping. Okay, so let's take a basic example. So let's say we want to print hello world. So I'm going to type here cout hello world exclamation mark and then end line. Okay, so let's say I want to print this out 5 times, right? I need to write a condition here so that this condition is true for 5 times and then it becomes false in the 6th time. So the way I'm going to do that is to create a variable here. I'm going to call it I, and I'm going to set it equal to 1. Okay, and then each time in the while loop I'm going to increment this variable I by 1. So the first time is equal to 1, and then each time in the loop is going to be incremented. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And in here, I'm going to say, as long as I is less than or equal to 5, print hello world. So I'm going to say I less than or equal to 5. And then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to increment the variable I by 1. I++ is basically equal to I equal I plus 1, just like that. So the old value of I plus 1. So the program is going to enter this while loop. It's going to check for the condition. So I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to 5. This condition holds true so far. So we're going to print hello world. And then we're going to increment the variable I by 1, so I is going to be equal to 2. And then we're going to check for the condition again, which still is true, so we're going to print this out again, and so on until the I is equal to 6. So when I is equal to 6, it's no longer true. This condition is no longer true. Now I is greater than 5. So we're going to have to exit the while loop. And if we write another statement here, so basically end of program, for example, this statement is going to be executed when all of the while loop executions are done. So basically when we are done printing this out 5 times, we're going to print out end of program. Okay, so let's give it a try and run our program. Okay, so there you go, hello world 5 times and then end of program. So far, so good. Now let's write a real program. Let's say we want our user to enter a few variables, let's say 10 integers, okay? And we need to read 10 integers. So instead of writing cn and then reading the variable 10 times, we can do that inside of a while loop. And we only have to cn 1 time. And then let's say we want to count the number of integers that are positive. So basically our user can type positive and negative values, and we need to count the number of positive values out of all the numbers. So let's do that. So I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to start over again. First of all, I'm going to create a variable so that the user can store numbers in it. I'm going to call it number. num short for number, and then I'm going to create a variable I, and I'm going to set it equal to 1, and then I'm going to ask the user to enter 10 integers. Cout, please enter 10 integers. Okay, and then instead of saying cin number 10 times, I don't want to copy and paste this statement 10 times. I'm going to create a while loop, and I'm going to say while I is less than or equal to 10. So I started at 1 and it's going to go up to 10, so basically 10 times. And then I'm going to open my curly brackets and I'm going to type cin num here. So this is going to loop for 10 times and we're going to read 10 numbers. And obviously we have to increment I so that our while loop doesn't become infinite while loop. We have to be very careful about this. If we forgot to increment the variable here, that means that our while loop will run infinitely, and so the program will crash at the end when it's out of memory. So we have to be very careful about this. And then I have to check whether the number is positive or negative. So the way I'm going to do that is basically by writing an if statement and checking if the number is greater than or less than 0. If it's greater than 0, then obviously it's a positive number, and if it's less than 0, then it's a negative number. So if number is greater than 0, I want to count it. I want to increment a variable, so we have to create a variable here. I'm going to call it count, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. Now we have to initialize it by a value, and it has to be 0. Why is that? Because under this if statement, I'm going to say count plus plus. And count plus plus basically means count is equal to count the old value plus 1. Now, if we don't have an older value, if this is not equal to 0, if I said integer count, then this count will hold a garbage value that is already stored in the memory. So this garbage value would be added to our count plus plus here. So we'd basically be incrementing 1 to this garbage value that is stored here that we don't know what it is. So basically our count would be wrong, so we have to initialize it to be equal to 0, and then we can increment it each time we find a positive number. So if number is greater than 0, we're going to increment the variable count. So after we are done with this while loop here, we can print the number of, or the count of positive numbers. I'm going to say positive numbers count is, and I'm going to write the variable name count, and then end line. Now let's run our program. Okay, so please enter 10 integers. I'm going to write a few positive ones and a few negative ones. So 12, 13, negative 34, negative 5, negative 3, 98, 45, negative 3, negative 1, and 6. Okay, so the number of positive numbers is 5. Let's count them. So 12, 13, those are two positive numbers, and then here we have 98, 45, and 6. So it's 5 positive numbers, 5 negative numbers, so the count here is true. So that was a simple program on while loops. We're going to continue with while loops in the next video. See you in the next one.